I'm so excited to talk with you again. I feel like it's the summer of Michael between Transformers: Rise of the Beast and Jack Ryan, and now Special Ops Lioness on Paramount Plus. So that's got to be fun for you.
I feel so grateful. I'm having a blast, and it's kind of all perfect timing with us, being on strike. I'm like, all right, cool. Get to go out and promote the wonderful projects that I was so fortunate enough to be a part of.
Yeah, and one of the most wonderful projects now is the new one you've got coming out on Paramount Plus in July. Let's talk about Special Ops Lioness, which is inspired by an actual U.S. military program. And after watching the premiere and personally reading more about it, it's incredible how this was constructed and just what the outcomes were. So how much did you know about the real program before signing up for the series?
I didn't. Well, Taylor pitched it to me. We had a call, and I was, me being the guy that I am, was totally into CIA and the government and politics and everything that I'm into personally in my real life. I was just like, oh my God, dude, this is so up my alley. Sort of to show the theater of world politics and world, what's really going on. It was just so up my alley. I was like, I'm in. And Taylor, I think he's just a genius. Like, I was so excited.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was going to ask you about that because it's funny that I see you in House of Cards and then I see you in Jack Ryan and I see like as always government operatives in something or the other. So you are a political junkie. You're somebody who devours that news all the time.
Oh, 100%. This is all just setting up my political career. That's all
right.
I'm doing.
Yeah. Of course. It's totally fine. So Taylor Sheridan, he is known to really create these worlds that are so dynamic and they're really involved. What was it about the script that just really drew you to the series besides the politics? And like, there's these real characters, there's these real, like he really fleshed out these characters in this first episode I got to watch. And yeah, what were you a fan of his work also prior to?
Yes, I was a fan of his work, 100% a fan of his work. We had met before on a different project that I didn't end up doing. But I think what really drew me to this, besides like we just talked about the CIA and the government, all that kind of stuff, but it was the fact that this was such a large female-driven, power-driven female characters running shit. And there was something so compelling to me about not just that, but that you got to see how that sort of thing affects them at home as well as at work, and how the two cross over. And I think it's written so brilliantly where the two worlds are equally fascinating, and going back and forth. You're just like, oh my God, what's happening now? Like, but that these women are at the center of it, and that they got such incredible actors from obviously Zoe and Nicole that everyone's familiar with, but Liza, this girl is a powerhouse, and she shines in this show like I haven't seen someone pop in a long time. And I just feel grateful to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. And it's really rare, I feel like, to see on TV, female-led shows where they're in these roles that are traditionally male-led roles, like being in the Marines. We were always thinking about guys, but then there are women who are actually Marines, and we get to see the lives that they led and like the missions they were on. And it obviously all takes a toll of PTSD and the trauma they've experienced.
Yeah. I always say like the world would be a better place if we let women run a lot more shit.
Mm-hmm. So, very true. I'm not
this show,
yeah.
The show does it, man. And it's incredible that you have what you would say is typically your male world, your male show that is a bunch of women just kicking ass. And it's so much fun. It's so good, so good.
Yeah, I'm excited. What your character, Donald Westfield, he oversees the program with Nicole Kidman's Caitlin Mead, and you made quite an impression in the first episode. So while we see a glimpse of you, what more can we expect? And like, what can you tell us about Donald and how he operates?
He is, I don't want to say anything you can expect because I don't want to ruin anything, but he is a man who obviously cares so much about what he does and gives so much to the cause, so to speak. But he's really good at what he does as well. And so his relationship with Nicole's character, Caitlin, is, when you see it for the first time, I hope at least that it's conveyed the history that the two characters have, that there's a trust amongst the two of them, that they wholeheartedly trust one another, because unlike Caitlin, Westfield has to answer or to a further extent, Westfield has to answer to the higher ups, you know, the administration, the president and his men, their staffs. That's the difficult and tricky part, and tricky waters that Westfield has to tread that she doesn't have to as much. So it's a fine balance that he's having to ride. But ultimately, you know, he does what he believes is the right thing, no matter what the consequences are. And I like that about him.
Yeah. And I love seeing, like, there are all these strong female characters on the show, but, you know, you being in the mix with that, you're sparring basically on screen with Nicole Kidman's character and Zoe Saldaña. Like, what's it like working with those two and having those sometimes intense scenes?
It was incredible. You know, my first day, I'll tell you, this was really cool. I go in and I pride myself on being someone who's always ready. I don't want to be the guy who ever holds up production because I don't know the scene as well as I should, or my lines as well as I should, or haven't thought about everything. So I went to work prepared, especially the new guy, you know, like, so, you know, those girls are executive producing and shit, and I'm just showing up to do the work that I'm doing. And I always bring my sides for rehearsal. And I walk in and the two women, we kind of all come in at the same time. And I noticed that neither of them are carrying sides. And I sort of take mine and quietly slide them under one of the CIA folders, top secret. I was like, yep, I'm going to put that right here. Because I was ready, but I just always have them, you know. And I was like, wow, it's that kind of set, you know, where rehearsal is not about getting to know the scene. Rehearsal is about, like, where are you going to be? Where are you going to be sitting? This is where I'm going to be sitting, you know. Just seeing the A game that these women brought to work, it was beautiful, man. I was so thrilled to get in and just play with those girls. They're amazing.
Yeah. Well, you hold your own. I feel like from what I've seen so far, and I know that you're going to be able to, like, you know, really develop this character in the next episodes. But yeah, from the looks of the premiere, I don't think you'll be engaging in any other stunts, but, like, was there a particularly challenging scene or maybe a moment you shot that your co-stars that ended up being kind of hard or just taking a toll? Because I know you're very used to doing stunts.
I am, and I love it, and I miss it. But I think what took a toll, you know, look, I had it easy compared to everybody else. Like, those guys out there sweating it out in the sun in the desert, wearing all that gear. I've done it. I know what it's like. It is not easy. It's fun, but it is not easy. So for me, the most challenging part was just getting some of the scenes that I had down to memory. That's honestly always the hardest part for me, is just memorizing. You would think I'd be better at it doing what I do for a living, but I'm not. So that was probably the toughest part, was jumping in and trying to let go of whatever nerves I had, you know, being a part of something that I thought was really special and just trying to let it all go and just be. You know, it was difficult, but rewarding in the end.
Mm-hmm. If you could describe this show with a word, what would you say? Just
one word, I would say captivating or thrilling. One of those. Like, it's just really, you know, I think one of the greatest thing about it was getting those scripts, and everyone that I got, ripping through them like it was, I just couldn't wait to see what happened next. And then, having seen the first episode now, I'm like, oh my God, it translated to the screen exactly that feeling that I had reading it. And that's all you can ask for in a show, as far as I'm concerned, is edge of your seat. Can't wait to see what happens the next minute. That's you know, you're a part of something special when that happens. And it's not always.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for everyone to see it. And before I do let you go, I'm having so much fun chatting with you. I wanted to keep it in the Paramount family, and I wanted to ask you about Transformers: Rise of the Beast. As a fan of yours for years, I was so excited to see you in those final moments. I was like, oh, of course he would be in this scene. Of course. So I'm wondering, being like the VIP bridging Transformers to G.I. Joe, what was your reaction when you got that, especially since it was so top secret leading up to that day?
It was so cool because I had met Steven, the director. I had met him many years ago. We had a coffee in Los Angeles. It was set up by our agents or whatever. You know, let's have coffee with this guy. He's a great up and coming director. He had just finished doing Creed. And I was like, yeah, I want to meet him. And we sat down and the two of us hit it off, and we talked for like, I don't know, an hour or two. It was years ago, pre-pandemic, like, and nothing ever came of it. Never talked to him again. And then one day I get this call out of the blue saying, hey, Steven wants to jump on the phone with you. They're finished with principal photography on Transformers, but he wants to talk to you about an idea he has. And he called me and he pitched to me what this was in this film, which originally was going to be an end credit or post credit scene.
Yeah, post credits.
Post credits. And then they ended up making it the last scene of the film for whatever reason. But when he pitched it to me, and then he was like, and then there's this whole G.I. Joe world that we're not sure that we have the rights to yet, but we really want to tie in the two worlds. And I just think it would be this really cool idea. And when we shot it with a couple different cards that I give him. The one that you see is not the only one we shot. And I was just so thrilled to be a part of it. Like, I have an 11-year-old boy, and I was like, this is going to be cool when he sees it, and I thought it would be fun to jump into one of those franchise worlds, especially one that I grew up on, Transformers, G.I. Joe. Like, it's what I'm 54. I grew up with both of those. So for me to be a part of that, it was thrilling, man. It was like really cool. And if nothing else comes of it, nothing else comes of it. But it sounds like they might do something.
Yeah, I feel like Agent Burke is going to be like the Nick Fury of the cinematic universe, where we see a lot more with him. But Michael,
your lips to God's ears. Your lips to God's ears, Tanya. Yeah, I'll take it
for sure. But Michael, it's been so awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much. I've been such a big fan of yours for years. The Adjustment Bureau is one of my favorites. I thought. Oh yeah. But House of Cards. How could we not say House of Cards was so great? But thank you so much, and I'm so looking forward to more Special Ops Lioness and everything else you have coming out, because I know we'll be. You and everything.
Thank you, Tanya. You take care. Nice to see you again.
Nice seeing you too.